Howdy. All right. Back with another TeleDynes live stream this week. Had a good gig last night. Did played for, good 3 hours or more. And we did I don't know if we did anything crazy different that time. We usually do one long set and then a shorter second set. We did 3 smaller sets. But either way, it was a good show. I played, believe it or not, I usually play the blue guitar most of the time. I ended up playing the Black Phoenix, and wow, I definitely am going to start playing that guitar a lot more. The sound from that, you can really hear the hollow body nature of that guitar. Where the pickups on the Blue Harbor one, it's still great. It sounds great. It plays great. I'm familiar with it. It's very comfortable. It's from so many years of playing this scale guitar, which is a little bit shorter than a Phoenix. And the strings are a little not as stiff. They feel somehow thinner, almost like it's a little smaller gauge string, even though it's a 10. They're both 10s. But it feels smaller. And I've just gotten so used to playing this one, I don't really think about it. And then I go to play that one, it is a little bit different. And so I don't play it that much. And I'll start playing it a lot now because, man, the resonance, the way it's set up, the neck is really straight. And it's like basically, people have called it a fretless wonder because it just plays like butter. The action is so low. And it would you'd play a note, and if you wanted to, you could totally control the feedback and the sustain. Oh, it would sustain for days. You just hit any note anywhere. Usually on guitars, there's some dead areas where this note's gonna ring out a lot, and this one's not. This one's gonna die away fast, and that's in the setup and the neck and in the nature of the guitar itself. And you can sort of combat that by getting a refret, getting a neck plane, and or doing a fret dress or a G&P as they call it, and level the frets out, and that'll help definitely. But having a really good piece of wood for that neck really helps. You can feel the difference and tell the difference, and it just, yeah. Well, and it sounds good too. The pickups are good. Not quite as loud as the Phoenix, but I mean the Blue Harbor, but still pretty good. All right, so probably keep it short today. Talk about some rock and roll stuff and a couple other ideas. And because it's a pretty nice day outside, I want to get out and enjoy it. So, let's see, what can we talk about as far as some basic rock and roll ideas? Everybody knows those sorts of things, right? And basically, you're just playing off of pentatonics, right? Or, hitting that tritone, that's the rock and roll thing. And you're just bending up. Kind of Chuck Berry stuff, really. And that's if you're playing straight rock and roll. Well, there's one thing I wanted to try here. We'll show you here. Is I haven't really experimented with it, but let's see if it comes through, because some of this stuff I try to play the drums and play to things on the computer, and it sounds out of time, and that's because the computer's buffering the drum program, and then by the time the guitar signal gets in there and comes back to OBS, it sounds almost like it's behind or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it'll work this time. So anyway, that's just a standard 1-4-5 progression. I got it in F because it's one of the songs that we play. And not rock and roll necessarily, it's more jazz, but that's a rock and roll progression, right? I just have the bass doing a really simple thing. And so you can obviously play, you know, basic rock and roll stuff, so I'll play something else over it. Right, all that stuff's working. Yeah, so the anyway, you get the really low. Okay. So you get the idea of it, right? Right? So that's all basic, you know, rock and roll riffs and things that you can throw in over a progression like that. But to change it up a little bit, I may have gone over this before, I'm not really sure. But you can sort of add in these chord substitutions. And I was just playing it there a little bit, but I'll play it one more time and you can hear it over the progression, and I'll kind of break it down and explain it a little bit. I just go over the progression once, so the rest of it's just following the chords. But so what I'm doing there is you're playing these substitutions over a standard progression like that. You're basically playing kind of the rock and roll riff, that tritone, going from an F13, so 13, right? And you're just harmonizing basically the minor thirds and the tritone. And then you hit this E, you're hitting an E9 over an F. Because they share a lot of the same notes, right? And then you're just voice leading and descending into the B. And it goes E flat 9 to a D, D7 sharp 9, into a B flat 9. And then here, now we're over the 4. So all of that was just going over the 1. Kind of similar where you play. And then you're just playing that, the E flat 9, D7 sharp 9, to the B flat. So F13, call that like an A. It's like an A flat 13. You can almost get away with that. It kind of it almost it doesn't duplicate itself. It's not the same exact chord, but it creates like tritone harmonies that work up the scale every 4 frets, just like a diminished chord. Right? And that's exactly what we're going to do here on the 4. So you're on the B flat. And so the easiest way to remember, like, what diminished chord do I play over the 4 is just play, if you're over B flat, think about it, you play a diminished chord, this form of it. You're familiar with that. And what that is you can think of it in shapes that way you can remember it. And it's just you're playing like a standard bar chord E7. So you're playing the 4 of the 4, right? But then you move up your root note, the E flat, a half step, just 1 fret. And that's your diminished chord. But then you take that whole diminished chord and move it up 1 step. So you're just climbing up. Right? Right back to the F. Then we're back on the 1, because it's just a 1, 4, 5, right? And I just repeat the same thing again. And then, this is pretty cool, the turnaround on the 5. This is where you can have the most fun. You can have a bunch of substitutions. You can substitute things for dominance. You can play a 2-5-1 or a 6-2-5-1, or the 6-2-5-1 of the 5 of the other of the 5, right? So you can go pretty crazy, and you're playing them one after another. So they each get a measure. And it doesn't matter whether the song is kind of, if it's staying on the 1 and going down to the 4 and then going back up to it, or it's staying on the 5. Now those 2 chords, this is a G minor 9. Which could be substituted because it's the 6, right? And we're still over the 5, right? So then you're playing still a G minor. It's also a B flat, right? The 6 is the relative of the major, so it's the same chord basically, but you put the bass note as a C. It implies that we're still over the 5 there. It's like a sus4 or a B9 almost. A B add 9. But it's still a G minor. You're still playing a G minor 9 or a G minor 7 there, right? And the F the C firmly plants it as the 5 chord, also still an F because it's the 5 note of the F chord. All about notes and voice leading. And right here we're on the 5 and we just do a C13. So on the 5 you can hear it, wanting to resolve. And this is just a partial F. And you're putting a D in the bottom, and the D is the 6th, and you can use that 6th note to descend down to your root. Whoops. playing the bass note now so you can hear it. That F on top is still droning. And you got a D and a C. So you're descending your 5th and your 6th chromatically. And you end up with this. You end up with this kind of F. You could think of it as a C sus4 or a C with the F there, a C7 sus4, or you can think of it as we're still not on the 1 quite yet. Well, we're on the 1 actually. So it is just an F there. We're going to go back to the 5. You know how some songs will just go quick sharp 5 to 5 or right. So you're hitting that 5. So we're going to hit that 5 again. So we're still on the 1. Descending. So we're still basically an F chord, but we just got that B flat in there. The notes in between are just passing tones, so you don't have to worry about that. And so it's just an F with a 4 on the top. So like a sus4. We're going to add 11 or something. Anyway, again, how you label it and how you name it is really not all that important, unless you're trying to, write something out for some professional thing or whatever. But for your own purposes, just to know the patterns here is what really matters. So after this, we're on the 1. It jumps back to a quick 5. So you could just go like that and just play a 5 before you're going back to the 1. But what I would like to do, of course, I'll make it a little bit more complicated, but you play a quick G flat 9 or F sharp 9. Then you go to the 5. And it's real quick. Just a beat. And what that is, that chord there, it's the tritone of the C. Right? It's a tritone. And you can always substitute the 5 of a chord progression, when you land on the 5, you can substitute it as a passing chord to go to the 5. So if you want to add an extra chord in there to make it a little bit more interesting for yourself, you've been playing the same sort of stuff for a long time, or again, this is something I throw in as a solo break, so it's not something I'm playing through the whole song. Normally I'm just right, and just playing the 1-4-5. But when you're on the 5 there, you can substitute that. You're leading into the 5 by adding in that tritone chord ahead of the 5. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the way I just like to take the progressions and say, okay, what can I add? When you have the 1, you can always make it a dominant chord. You can make it a 7 or a 9. And this works really well with the swinging stuff. And with the straight rock stuff, not as much, at least not to me. Sounds a bit more dissonant. You can get away with a lot more, I find, with playing the swinging type music, which is kind of what drew me to it in the first place, is because it allows for so much more versatility and creativity. With I don't feel like I'm in a box playing like I do when I'm playing the straight rock stuff. Although I still like it and still play that too, it's just it tends to get a little more basic with the rock and roll. So You can intentionally, of course, write songs with all of those chord progressions in there, and that works, and then the bass is changing along with it. But like I said, I just played this over a standard 1-4-5 chord progression. And, you know, if you have another guitar playing with you and they're playing major chords, you might get some, it might conflict a little bit. I'm going to try it tomorrow, actually. I'm not playing with another guitar player, but I'm playing with a keyboard player. So I have done it though before, even with the keyboard playing the chords, playing a 1-4-5. It works. It works. It's you're superimposing these chords on top of what's already there, and you're extending the voicing of the chord. So that if you have a triad, you're just playing major chords and even seventh chords. You can stack on top of that. Other instruments can play extensions, and you can harmonize those extensions and substitute those extensions for other things as passing chords in between the notes and go crazy with it. And I usually like to build it out and go nuts with as much as I can throw in there and fit all I can in there, and then I'll carve it back and try to make it a little more manageable. So let's how about something else, some more rock and roll basic type stuff. Let's see. We've gone over the finger picking stuff quite a bit. Most people, I think, you know, it just takes time to get stuff like that. It doesn't really matter what key you're playing in. I would say, if I had to recommend a key to start that, either G or A, because you can play the bar chords form, or up here, whatever you're doing. And then you get the nines right there. Handy. Right. But if you play an E, you can do it too. You can do the same thing. And then maybe this would be easier to get used to the finger picking instead of having to worry about it bar chord. If you're not too comfortable with bar chords yet, then play an open E, and you can play the same notes. And you're not worried about doing that. And you've got, and you know, just get used to that. Get the thumb going like that. That takes a little bit, but just if you're not used to tucking the pick up, you don't want to do that, then you can always just not have the pick and you got free range of all your fingers. You can do standard finger picking by anchoring your little finger on the pick guard, which is what I would practice that if you're trying to get used to finger picking. Just Travis style. That's going to be the best way to get used to getting your hands going. Because we all practice with this hand and we get the muscle going here and then forget about the picking hand. Another exercise here for your picking hand for flat picking. Really simple. It's almost kind of boring, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and then back down. The only trick to this is you want to do economy style picking. So you want to keep going down. So when you're going up in register, but down the fingerboard, Every time you change strings, always go down, pick down. And when you, likewise, in reverse, pick up. And so that will help improve your economy style picking, because I guess it depends on how you learned, but I learned alternate picking first. So everything was down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that's great if you're reading music. It's great for timing because all the upbeats are upstroke, up, pick up, and the downbeats are down picks, and it's easy to keep track of the rhythm, easier, I should say. And then, but if you're just playing, you're trying to build up speed, you want to get that economy picking, whatever you're trying to play. Especially with the lower notes. It's easy to go back and forth on these top strings, but these the round wound strings can easier to fumble it, I think. Let's see, what else can we discuss? What else can we talk about? This some more rock and trying to give you some other rock and roll tips here. That's a rock and roll thing. Just get used to that. I notice a lot of people, they'll get stuck playing just with your 3 fingers, and you kind of neglect the little finger. So that's an exercise to kind of get used to, besides just doing the caterpillar, I guess they call it. You can do these triplets, pull-offs. Right? Pick, pull off, pull off. Definitely want to get used to doing stuff like that. That's in so much of the rockabilly stuff, as you can hear it. All those triplet riffs. Let's see. I'm a couple of updates here on the channel. I've been, again, summer, crazy busy, and but I've got 2 videos in play right now that I'm editing. I'm going back and forth between the edits. Actually 3, sorry. It's the Falcon Rancher that's coming out very soon, and the a gear demo video, another piece of gear, which is pretty cool. I used it. It's a I think I mentioned it last time on stream. It's called it's a wireless adapter for your microphone, and you can use it for any XLR device for the most part. It can transmit audio, or it can transmit just your microphone signal. And so if you have a microphone and you need a wireless mic, plug this thing in, plug it right into the board, and there you're good to go. So I got a little gear, just like I did to the guitar wireless system and explain that. So I'm explaining this one. And then I've got me I'm playing an instrumental version of Putting on the Ritz. To a more arranged drum part and bass part, and some rhythm guitar and stuff like that. Kind of like some of my very first videos I did, where I just played some tunes, and I hadn't done that in a while, so I figured that would be fun to do. Let's see. One more thing before I go here. Here's a couple of little riffs you can play. So it's like a 5, or sorry, a 1 to a 5, or you could say that's like a whatever. Doesn't matter what you're labeling it. It's kind of like the 2-hip gotta go riff, but you're not playing that top note. You bend minor third, kind of bluesy, right? Kind of like old jump blues, swing blues stuff. And it's just the three strings here, the D, the G, and the B string. And then when you go, you can slide that down, and you're just holding that. So it's a seventh. Starts out as a major and becomes a 9, really. So you're just sliding chromatically down until you hit, you're just going 3 frets down. And you have an F and an A. So there's your 7th, and there's your 9. Right, it's this G chord, right? You've heard this before. Right? If you move all the way up there, that's an A. If you just play those 2 notes in the middle, you're still just a G. So you're kind of playing off of when you hear to the 4, right? And then you're over the 1 here. And to keep it simple, you can just still stay here. You think of a C chord. C7 or 9. Right? And you can play off of all those notes. And always remember that when you're over the 4, the minor third is kind of like right in the middle of a G. Right where your middle finger is, over that B note, you moved it up 1 string. There's your minor third when you're over the 4. Minor third is down here. And then when you go to the 5, you can still do a lot of that same pattern here. You can also, if you have been playing a while, I know it sometimes happens to me, you play in like 3-hour, 4-hour gig, and it's, especially in the summertime, it's hot and you're tired and whatever, you don't want to think too much. And some of these gigs, like a gig I have tomorrow, weather dependent, hopefully it works out, but you have to, a lot of it is going to be just me coming up with solos on the fly. I don't even know half the songs. I know some of them, but I don't need to know them. I just need to know the progression. What is it? Is it a 2? What kind of turnaround is it? What key is it in? What's the turnaround? Does it hang on the 1? Is it a 6-2-5? Is it a 2-5 or whatever? And when you think about music in those terms, the numbering system, I call it, and you're thinking about 2-5-1s. If you have your major scales memorized, you don't really need to. It's just the alphabet, right? So you can just count up in your head, even if it takes you a minute, and figure out, okay, well, that's the 2 and the 5, so you know what the chords are. You don't have to worry about learning all of these songs, and you just know what the progression is. And especially for this kind of stuff, for roots music, if you're playing more creative singer-songwriter stuff and psychedelic 60s or something like that, or some of the Beatles stuff, it's harder to put it in those terms, although you can still with a lot of it. But a lot of that stuff is riff based and all of that, so you have to kind of put a little bit more effort into it than this. But if you're just playing some of these tunes, if you know, learn the riff, you can kind of pick it up or give it a listen and that's really all you have to kind of focus on, is that you don't have to worry about memorizing the whole structure of a song. And you can just worry about the 1, the 4, the 6, 2, 5, 1, which is usually the whatever the turnaround is going to be. And that's really it. And then there'll be a couple that usually are kind of curveballs, and you'll have to pay attention and listen and get your do some ear training, which is something that even I should do a little bit more of. But there's plenty of videos and stuff on with other channels doing ear training, which is helpful especially in those situations, or transposing songs, of course. And the key to learning how to transpose a song is, or not transpose, transcribe a song from listening to it. Listen to the bass. Tune everything else out and focus on what the bass is doing. And that will give you the root of where the chord progressions are. And then you can add on top of that. And then everything else usually falls into place, becomes pretty clear. And if you know, well, this is the chord, well, there's only so many options at that point. How this riff is being played. And that's basically it when it comes to that. And it's just doing it over and over and over and over and over again, and getting used to how things fit together. And eventually you start to see patterns. Oh, that's like that, and that's like this song, and that's like that song, and it's like, oh yeah, it all sort of works, and you figure it out over time. It's just a matter of playing. But to have fun with it, to keep the interest up, is just, play some good old-fashioned rock and roll. All over pentatonic, right? Even the major pentatonic. All right. Well, I think that'll do for today. I'm actually going to go do for the first time, I'm going to do some video for the video that I'm doing outside. I'm going to try to film something a little bit different that's not just this backdrop all the time. So even though this is easy, kind of like to have motion in the videos and have something a little bit more interesting. So I experiment with that, and it's fun. So until next time, next week, hopefully, I was planning on having these videos out this week, but it didn't happen. Got tied up with a bunch of other just life stuff, and I'm going to go do that little, get that shot, and then start editing these videos together. So I know they're just going to be gear videos, but then the next one is going to be a lesson. I'm going to do this Cats on a Hot Tin Roof. That one's going to take a little time because I got to do all the tab and all of that for it. So there's a lot of notes, especially in the solo. All right. Until next week, have a good one. We'll see you then. The major chord. All right. See you next time.